The massive alien ships appeared without warning. One moment, Earth's skies were clear. The next, they were filled with dark shapes that blocked out the sun. The first attack came 3 minutes later, and within hours, humanity learned just how unprepared they truly were. Commander James Walker stood at the observation deck of Mars Outpost 7. His hands clenched into fists as he watched the live feed from Earth. The blue planet, humanity's cradle, burned with countless fires visible even from space. The alien fleet, which called themselves the Dominion, had systematically destroyed every major military installation on the planet in less than 24 hours. "Sir, we're receiving another distress signal," said Tom, his communications officer. The young man's face was pale, his voice shaking. "It's from the Pacific Defense Fleet." Walker nodded, his jaw tight. "Put it through." The crackling voice filled the command center. "This is Admiral White of the Pacific Fleet. We've lost 90% of our ships. Their weapons, they just cut through our best defenses like paper. If anyone can hear this, save your resources. Fighting them head-on is suicide. I repeat, do not engage directly. They're not just advanced, they're—" The transmission cut off in a burst of static. Another fleet lost. Walker closed his eyes for a moment, remembering the training exercises he'd done with White just 3 months ago. Now the Admiral was probably dead, along with thousands of other skilled personnel. The second day brought no relief. The Dominion's ground forces landed, their mechanical walkers and hovering platforms making Earth's most advanced military vehicles look like children's toys. They took control of major cities with frightening efficiency, their energy shields deflecting everything from rifle rounds to nuclear strikes. Walker coordinated with the remaining Earth forces from Mars, but it was like trying to fight a forest fire with water pistols. The aliens' technology was simply too far beyond anything humanity possessed. Their ships could jump across vast distances in seconds, their weapons could pierce any armor, and their shields seemed impenetrable. By the third day, Earth's remaining leaders gathered for an emergency virtual conference. Walker attended from Mars, watching the tired, defeated faces on his screen. "We have to surrender," said the U.S. President, his usual confidence replaced by grim acceptance. "Every hour we resist, we lose more lives. Our weapons are useless against them." The Chinese premier nodded slowly. "We've lost contact with 60% of our territory. Their forces are unstoppable." One by one, the world leaders agreed. Humanity had no choice. 3 days was all it took for an advanced alien civilization to bring Earth to its knees. The formal surrender came at noon UTC. The Dominion's response was immediate and crystal clear. Humans were now their subjects. Earth would be occupied, and humanity would be confined to their solar system. Any attempt to develop space travel beyond Mars would be met with immediate destruction. Walker received the last official transmission from Earth's Joint Command. "To all off-world forces, stand down. Do not attempt to engage the Dominion forces. Preserve what resources and personnel you can. This is our final transmission. Good luck." The commander looked around his command center at the shocked faces of his crew. They were now among the few remaining free humans, stationed on Mars with Earth's most advanced research outpost. The Dominion had ignored Mars during their invasion, probably considering it too primitive to be a threat. "Sir," Tom spoke up, his voice steadier now. "What do we do?" Walker turned to face his crew fully. "We do what humanity has always done when faced with impossible odds. We adapt, we learn, and we find a way to fight back." He paused, looking at each face in turn. "They think they've conquered us because they have better technology. But humanity's greatest weapon has never been our guns or our ships. It's our minds, our creativity, our refusal to accept defeat." He walked to the main display, switching it to show their research facilities, hidden workshops, and storage bays. "We have resources they don't know about. We have brilliant minds they've underestimated. Most importantly, we have nothing left to lose." Looking back at Earth's image on the screen, Walker felt a fierce determination replace his despair. The Dominion thought they had conquered humanity. They were about to learn just how wrong they were. 5 years passed under the Dominion's rule. Earth had changed beyond recognition. Massive alien structures towered over the ruins of human cities, their smooth, dark surfaces reflecting the sunlight like black mirrors. Patrol ships hummed constantly overhead, keeping watch for any sign of rebellion. Dr. Emily Rhodes worked in her hidden lab deep within Mars Outpost 7, surrounded by scattered papers and holographic displays. Dark circles under her eyes showed she hadn't slept in days. She was close to something. She could feel it. The piece of Dominion technology on her workbench, salvaged from a crashed scout ship, held secrets she was finally beginning to understand. "You should get some rest," said Mike, her assistant, placing a cup of coffee beside her. "You've been at this for 30 hours straight." Emily shook her head, not looking up from her work. "I can't. Not now. Look at these energy patterns." She pointed to a complex diagram on her screen. "They're exactly like the quantum wave theories Dr. Anderson proposed back in 2024. The ones everyone said were impossible." Mike leaned closer, frowning. "The faster-than-light travel theories. But those were never proven. Because we didn't have the technology to test them." Emily's hands flew across her keyboard, bringing up more diagrams. "But look at how the Dominion's drive works. The quantum field manipulation, the space-time distortion. It's all there." Anderson was right. "We understood the theory decades ago. We just couldn't build it." A spark jumped from the alien device, making them both step back. Emily's eyes were wide with excitement. "The Dominion thinks we're primitive because we don't have their technology. But we've understood the science behind it for years. We just needed to see it in action to confirm our theories." She grabbed her tablet and started running calculations. "Their faster-than-light drives aren't magic. They work exactly how our scientists predicted they would. The Dominion probably spent centuries figuring this out through trial and error. But we—" She looked up at Mike, a fierce grin on her face. "We worked it out on paper 50 years ago." The lab door slid open, and Commander Walker stepped in. He looked tired but alert, as always. "Dr. Rhodes, your message said it was urgent." Emily quickly explained her discovery, using simpler terms. "Commander, we can build our own faster-than-light drive. Not by copying theirs, but by using our own theories. And because we understand the underlying principles, we might even be able to improve on their design." Walker's expression remained serious, but there was a glint in his eyes. "How long?" "A year, maybe 2. We'll need resources, and we'll have to be careful not to alert their sensors. But we can do it." She paused, then added, "They don't think we can understand their technology, so they don't bother hiding it properly. Their arrogance is their weakness." Walker nodded slowly. "Like letting us keep our advanced research facilities on Mars, because they thought we were too primitive to make use of them." He walked to the window, looking out at the red Martian landscape. "Can you write up a detailed proposal? Materials needed, timeline, everything." "Already working on it." Emily turned back to her computer. "We'll need to set up production somewhere they won't detect it. Somewhere they don't bother monitoring because they think it's worthless." "The asteroid belt," Mike suggested. "They ignore it completely. Too primitive for their tastes." Walker smiled slightly. "I'll make arrangements. Dr. Rhodes, you just changed everything. For the first time since the invasion, we have a real chance." Emily looked at the alien device on her bench, then at her old quantum mechanics textbooks. They thought they were showing us how advanced they were, how primitive we are. Instead, they just proved that we were right all along. She picked up her coffee, finally taking a sip. "We're going to beat them with the theories they thought were impossible." As Walker left to make his preparations, Emily turned back to her work with renewed energy. The Dominion had conquered Earth with their technology, but they had no idea that humans had already solved the theoretical problems they'd spent centuries working out. Now it was just a matter of putting that theory into practice. And if there was one thing humans excelled at, it was turning theory into reality. Deep within the hollowed-out heart of Ceres, the largest asteroid in the belt between Mars and Jupiter, humans had built something impossible. The old mining tunnels now housed Project Phoenix, humanity's secret weapon against the Dominion. What had once been rough stone walls were now lined with advanced equipment, hidden laboratories, and makeshift assembly areas. Walker stood at the entrance of the main workshop, watching dozens of engineers and scientists at work. They had smuggled these people from Mars and Earth over the past 6 months, choosing the brightest minds who could work with limited resources. The Dominion's patrol ships never came this far out. They considered the asteroid belt nothing but space rocks and mining waste. "The first prototype is ready for testing," Emily said, walking up beside him. Her face was smudged with grease, her hair tied back messily. She hadn't stopped working since they'd started the project. "We've installed it in the test chamber." They walked together through the tunnels, passing more workers. Everyone moved with purpose, determination clear in their faces. This wasn't just a science project. It was humanity's best hope for freedom. The test chamber was a massive cave, reinforced with steel plates. In the center sat their creation, a faster-than-light drive built using human theories and whatever materials they could gather without alerting the Dominion. It looked rough compared to the alien smooth technology, but Emily insisted it would work better. "We've made improvements to the original design," she explained, checking readings on her tablet. "The Dominion's drives waste energy because they brute-forced their way to faster-than-light travel. Our understanding of quantum mechanics let us create a more efficient system." Mike entered the control room above the chamber, giving them a thumbs up. "All systems are ready. We've got full power." Walker looked at Emily. "Are you sure the Dominion won't detect this?" She nodded. "We've masked the energy signature to look like normal asteroid belt radiation. Unless they're specifically looking for it, they won't notice anything unusual." "Begin the test," Walker ordered. Emily pressed several buttons on her control panel. The drive hummed to life, giving off a soft blue glow. Numbers and graphs flashed across the screens as energy levels rose steadily. "Quantum field is stable," Mike reported. "Space-time distortion beginning." Now, the air around the drive seemed to ripple like water. Small objects near it started floating as gravity went strange. The blue glow grew brighter, but stayed contained within their shielding. "It's working exactly as the theory predicted," Emily said, her voice filled with excitement. "The quantum field is 10% more efficient than the Dominion's version. We're ready to install it in a ship." Walker smiled. "Good thing we've been building those too." He pressed a button, and massive doors opened at the far end of the chamber. Behind them was a huge construction bay where 3 ships sat in various stages of completion. They were smaller than Dominion vessels, but sleeker, built for speed and stealth. "How long until the first ship is ready?" he asked. 2 weeks for the first one," Emily replied. "We can complete one more every month after that, assuming we can keep getting materials without being noticed." They had set up fake mining operations throughout the asteroid belt to explain any unusual activity. The Dominion was so convinced of their superiority that they never questioned why humans would keep mining in such primitive conditions. "Tell everyone to double-check their work," Walker said. "When we make our move, we'll only get one chance. Everything has to work perfectly." Emily looked at their creation, then at the ships being built nearby. "They thought pushing us out here would keep us weak and controlled. Instead, they gave us exactly what we needed: space to work without their interference." Walker watched his people moving with purpose through the tunnels of their secret base. The Dominion had meant to break humanity's spirit by confining them to their solar system. Instead, they had just concentrated humanity's greatest minds in one place, giving them a common goal and the motivation to achieve it. In their arrogance, the aliens had made a terrible mistake. They had given humanity both the time and reason to surpass them. The observation room on Mars was dark except for the glow of screens showing feeds from hidden cameras on Earth. Walker stood with his arms crossed, watching the Dominion's daily patrol patterns with growing interest. Beside him, Captain Robert Stone took notes, marking down times and positions. "There it is again," Walker said, pointing to one of the screens. "Watch their response to the dust storm." On the screen, a massive dust storm approached a Dominion patrol. The alien ship followed the exact same procedure they'd seen a dozen times before: rise to a specific height, activate shields at exactly the same power level, and wait in the same position until the storm passed. "They never adapt," Stone said, understanding dawning on his face. "Even when the storm is smaller or coming from a different direction, they follow the same steps every time." Walker nodded, moving to another screen showing a Dominion ground patrol encountering a fallen tree on their route. The aliens spent exactly 10 minutes analyzing the tree, then used their energy weapons to disintegrate it, even though they could have easily stepped over it. 6 months of observation, and they've never once deviated from their protocols, Walker said. "Their technology is incredible, but their thinking is completely rigid." Emily entered the room, carrying her tablet. "It's not just their patrols. Look at this data from their communications." She pulled up a series of graphs. Every response follows a preset pattern. If something doesn't fit their protocols, they freeze, waiting for instructions from their superiors. "Like machines following a program," Stone added. "But they're not machines. They're living beings. Why would they act this way?" Emily sat down, bringing up more data. "I think it's their society. They've been technologically advanced for so long that they've forgotten how to deal with unexpected situations. Why learn to adapt when your technology can handle everything?" Walker smiled grimly. "But that's all humans have done since they arrived. Adapt and survive. We've had to learn to live around their patrols, find ways to communicate without their networks, build things with whatever we can find." On the screens, they watched more examples of the Dominion's rigid behavior. A patrol ship finding a piece of space debris would always scan it for exactly 2 minutes, then either destroy it or catalog it, never considering it might be a decoy or a trap. "Their weakness isn't in their technology," Walker said. "It's in their minds. They've become so dependent on their protocols and advanced systems that they've lost the ability to think creatively." Stone leaned forward, his eyes lighting up with understanding. "That's why they ignore the asteroid belt. Their protocols say it's primitive and worthless, so they never think to check what we might be doing out there." "And why they left our Mars research facilities alone," Emily added. "Their rules say we're too primitive to understand advanced science, so they don't bother monitoring what we're studying." Walker walked to the main display, bringing up a map of the solar system. Every victory they've ever had came from following their protocols against enemies who played by the same rules. "But humans," he smiled, "we've never been good at following rules." "We should test this," Stone suggested. "Something small. See how they react to unexpected situations." Emily nodded. "I can help design some tests. If we're right about their behavioral patterns, we might have found the edge we need." They spent the next few hours planning, watching more feeds, confirming their theory. Every Dominion action was predictable if you knew their protocols. Their patrols never varied their routes. Their responses to problems never changed. Their ships always used the same tactics, even when those tactics weren't the most efficient choice. "They conquered us because their technology was better," Walker said finally. "But they have no idea how to handle an enemy who thinks differently than they do. Their greatest strength, their advanced technology and strict protocols, might also be their greatest weakness." Stone looked at the patrol patterns again. "They've spent all this time thinking they're containing us, limiting us, keeping us primitive." He laughed softly. "They never realized they were giving us time to study them, to learn their weaknesses. Humanity's greatest skill has always been learning to overcome superior opponents," Walker said. "They thought they were showing us their power. Instead, they were showing us exactly how to beat them. The screens continue to show the Dominion's patrols moving in their perfect, predictable patterns, never varying, never adapting, never realizing that their primitive human subjects had finally discovered how to defeat them. Captain Stone sat in the darkness of his small ship, hidden among a cluster of asteroids. 5 other ships waited nearby, their systems running silent. They had painted the ships with materials that absorbed radar and light, making them nearly invisible against the dark rocks. Dominion scout ship approaching, whispered his sensor operator through the radio. Same patrol route as always, right on schedule. Stone smiled in the darkness. The Dominion's predictability made them vulnerable. Their scout ships always followed the same paths, always scanned in the same patterns, always followed the same protocols. Remember, Stone said to his crew and the other ships, we do this exactly like we planned. They're expecting mining ships that run away. We're going to show them something new. The Dominion scout ship came into view, its sleek purple hull gleaming in the sunlight. It was beautiful and deadly, armed with weapons that could slice through normal human ships like paper. But Stone and his crew weren't flying normal ships. Activate the mining lasers, Stone ordered. Make it look like routine asteroid mining. Their ships powered up old mining equipment, carefully modified for their plan. To the Dominion sensors, they would appear to be exactly what they were supposed to be, primitive humans doing their assigned work in the asteroid belt. The scout ship noticed them, just as planned. Stone watched on his screen as it followed its standard protocol. First, a long-range scan, then moving closer for a routine check, exactly like it had done hundreds of times before. Get ready, Stone said. Wait for my signal. The Dominion ship moved into position, preparing to run its standard inspection. They never varied this procedure. Approach from above, scan for weapons, check cargo manifests, then move on. Now, all 6 human ships fired at once, but instead of weapons, they fired clouds of metallic dust, the same kind used in asteroid mining. The dust surrounded the Dominion ship, blocking its sensors. According to their protocols, the aliens would now rise above the dust cloud to get a clear scan. The scout ship did exactly that, moving up in a predictable path. Stone's ships were already moving, having practiced this hundreds of times. 3 ships above, 3 below, all firing electromagnetic pulses precisely calculated to overload the Dominion's shields. Their shields are down, someone shouted. They're trying to send a distress signal. Not today, Stone said calmly. His ship launched a modified communication satellite, one of Emily's inventions. It surrounded the Dominion ship with a field that blocked all transmissions. The alien ship tried to jump away using its faster-than-light drive, following emergency protocols. But Stone's team had studied those protocols. They knew exactly where the ship would try to jump to. Target that exit point, Stone ordered. More metallic dust clouds were already there, making faster-than-light travel impossible. The Dominion ship was trapped. Stone's ships moved in closer, using magnetic grapples to lock onto the scout ship's hull. The aliens tried to respond, but every option in their protocol had been blocked. They had no procedure for this situation. Their engines are powering down, the sensor operator reported. They're surrendering. Stone let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. Begin boarding procedures. Remember, they'll follow their capture protocols exactly. Be ready for each step. The operation had taken less than 10 minutes. 6 small human ships had just captured an advanced alien vessel, all because they knew how the aliens would react and use that knowledge against them. Inside the captured ship, Stone walked through gleaming purple corridors to the bridge. The alien crew stood perfectly still, following their surrender protocols. They seemed unable to understand how primitive humans had defeated their superior technology. Send word to Commander Walker, Stone said into his radio. Tell him Phase 1 is complete. We have their ship, their technology, and most importantly, we've proven they can be beaten. He looked at the alien crew, who still hadn't moved from their surrender positions. "Your protocols work great against enemies who think like you do," he told them, though they probably couldn't understand. "But humans, we've spent our whole history learning to think differently." As his crew began securing the ship for transport back to their hidden base, Stone smiled. The Dominion thought technology was everything. They were about to learn that creativity and adaptability could overcome even the most advanced weapons. Today's victory was small, but it was just the beginning. Humanity now had proof that they could fight back and win. Emily's hands moved quickly over the control panel of the captured Dominion ship, now stripped down to its core components in the hidden workshop on Ceres. After 3 months of study, she had confirmed everything they'd suspected about the alien technology. "Their faster-than-light drive is amazing," she told Walker, who stood watching her work. "But they're using it all wrong. It's like having a supercomputer, but only using it to play simple games." Walker nodded, looking at the new human ships under construction nearby. Dozens of them now filled the massive cavern, each one incorporating both human innovation and stolen Dominion technology. "How much better is our version?" 40% more efficient, Emily said proudly. "We're using less energy to go faster." The Dominion never tried to improve their drives because their protocols said they were already perfect. An alarm suddenly blared through the base. Mike rushed in, his face pale. "Commander, the Dominion found one of our supply ships. They're heading this way." Walker stayed calm. They had planned for this. "How many ships?" "Just 2 cruisers. They still think we're primitive. They're not expecting a real fight." "Perfect." Walker pressed a button on his communicator. "All ships, begin Operation Thunderstorm." This is not a drill. Throughout the asteroid belt, hidden ships powered up. They had spent months preparing for this moment, hiding vessels behind asteroids, inside old mining tunnels, and in the shadows of larger rocks. The Dominion cruisers moved through the asteroid field exactly as their protocols dictated, shields at standard power, following the most efficient path, scanning in regular patterns. They never noticed the small changes humans had made to the asteroids around them. Walker watched on the main screen as the trap was sprung. Electromagnetic pulses fired from dozens of points, carefully timed to hit the cruiser's shields in their weakest spots. The aliens responded exactly as expected, raising their shields to maximum power and preparing to jump to faster-than-light speed. But they couldn't jump. Special devices hidden on nearby asteroids created interference fields, blocking their escape. The Dominion ships tried to follow their combat protocols, but humans had studied those protocols and planned countermoves for each one. "Launch our ships," Walker ordered. "Show them what humanity has been building out here in the worthless asteroid belt." 30 ships emerged from hiding, all equipped with Emily's improved faster-than-light drives. They were smaller than the Dominion cruisers, but faster and more maneuverable. Each one was different, making it impossible for the aliens to predict their capabilities. The battle was short but intense. The Dominion ships fought well, but they could only follow their programming. Human ships attacked from unexpected angles, used mining equipment as weapons, and coordinated in ways the aliens had never seen before. "Their shields are down," reported one of the human captains. "Both cruisers are disabled." Walker looked at Emily. "Time to show them what else we've learned." Emily nodded and activated their newest weapon, a device that could temporarily disable the Dominion's quantum communication systems. The alien ships went silent, cut off from their command structure and unable to receive new orders. "Begin boarding operations," Walker commanded, "and send the signal to all our other bases. The time for hiding is over." Across the solar system, more human ships emerged from secret bases. They had built them in old mines, inside hollow asteroids, and even in the shadows of Saturn's rings. Everywhere the Dominion thought was too primitive to check, humanity had been preparing. Emily watched the screens as reports came in from all over the system. "They never imagined we could do this," she said softly. "Their protocols told them we were primitive, so they never looked closer." Walker smiled as he watched human ships surround the captured Dominion cruisers. That's always been humanity's greatest strength. When people underestimate us, it just gives us more time to prepare. The first stage of their counterattack had succeeded. Now came the hard part, taking back their solar system from an enemy that had never lost a war. But for the first time since the invasion, the odds were starting to shift in humanity's favor. Because while the Dominion had spent 5 years thinking they were containing humanity, humanity had spent those same 5 years learning, adapting, and preparing to take back their freedom. The space around Earth buzzed with activity as the final battle for humanity's freedom began. The Dominion's main fleet had arrived, their massive ships forming a perfect defensive pattern above the planet. They had called in every ship from nearby star systems, creating the largest alien fleet humans had ever seen. Walker stood on the bridge of his command ship, hidden behind Mars with the rest of humanity's fleet. They had spent weeks gathering their forces, bringing in ships from every hidden base in the solar system. It wasn't as large as the Dominion fleet, but size wasn't everything. "All ships report ready," Stone said from his position at tactical control. "Emily's new drives are working perfectly. We're using less than half the energy the Dominion needs for the same operations." Walker nodded, looking at the tactical display. "Send the message to all ships. Begin Operation Freedom." The human fleet split into smaller groups, each one using Emily's improved faster-than-light drives to jump to precisely calculated positions around the solar system. The Dominion fleet responded exactly as expected, spreading out to counter the perceived threat according to their standard protocols. "They're taking the bait," Stone reported, "breaking formation exactly like we predicted." Walker watched as the alien ships moved to textbook defensive positions. The Dominion never changed their tactics. They had no reason to, since those tactics had won them countless battles against other advanced civilizations. But humanity wasn't fighting like an advanced civilization. They were fighting like humans. "Launch the mining drones," Walker ordered. Thousands of small automated mining units shot out from hidden positions in the asteroid belt. To the Dominion sensors, they looked like harmless mining equipment. Their protocols said to ignore such primitive devices. That was their first mistake. The drones activated Emily's special devices, creating a web of quantum interference that disrupted the Dominion's faster-than-light drives. At the same time, human ships began jumping in and out of faster-than-light speed in random patterns, using minimal energy thanks to their improved drives. The Dominion fleet tried to respond, but their rigid protocols weren't designed for this kind of chaos. Every time they formed up to attack one group of human ships, 3 more groups would appear behind them. Their perfect formations kept breaking apart as they tried to follow conflicting standard procedures. "Their command ship is isolated," Stone announced. "Just like we planned." Walker gave the signal. Human ships suddenly stopped their random movements and executed a perfectly coordinated attack. Hundreds of ships jumped simultaneously, surrounding the Dominion command ship before its protocols could react. Emily's voice came over the radio from her position in the engineering control center. "Their quantum fields are destabilizing. They can't maintain their defensive screens against our improved drives." The human ships pressed their advantage, using technologies the Dominion had dismissed as primitive in ways the aliens had never imagined. Mining lasers cut through their weakened shields. Electromagnetic pulses scrambled their targeting systems. Simple rockets carried complex electronic warfare devices past their defenses. The Dominion command ship's shields failed. Around the solar system, other human groups were reporting similar successes. The alien fleet was falling apart, unable to adapt to humanity's unconventional tactics. "They're sending out a surrender signal," Stone reported, surprise in his voice. "Their entire fleet. They're standing down." Walker allowed himself a small smile. "Send the message we prepared." On every Dominion ship, screens lit up with a simple message in their language. "Your protocols have failed. Humanity is not primitive. We are different. We are innovative. And we are now your equals." Hours later, Walker stood in a conference room on his ship, facing the Dominion's supreme commander across a table. The alien looked confused, its perfect composure broken. "How?" the alien asked through a translator. "Our technology is superior. Our protocols are perfect. We have conquered 1,000 worlds." "That was your mistake," Walker replied. "You thought technology was everything. You forgot that the most powerful weapon isn't a ship or a gun. It's the ability to think differently, to adapt, to find new solutions to old problems." He gestured to Emily, who stood nearby. "We took your technology and made it better because we never stopped trying to improve. We won because you followed your protocols while we used our creativity." The alien was silent for a long moment. Finally, it spoke again. "We have never encountered a species like yours." Walker smiled. "That's because there are no species like humanity. We don't follow protocols. We break them. We don't accept limitations. We overcome them. And we never, ever stop fighting for our freedom." Outside the window, Earth shone bright and blue. For the first time in 5 years, it was truly free again, protected not by alien technology, but by human ingenuity, determination, and the unbreakable spirit of innovation that had always defined humanity.